So, in your introduction, I have read about venture builder or venture studio, which is something which you have been doing over the last decade or so with Growth Story, which has created some of the largest brands, including BlueStone, BigBasket. For a layman, we hear VC a lot, venture capital. If you could help us understand the difference between a VC, venture studio, and maybe this Thrasio model which is coming up for D2C, and make it simple for us.
Yeah, so my journey into Growth Story or Venture Builder came after we sold Tutor Vista to Pearson and I completed my mandatory lock-in. So before that, from 1990 when I started my first business, IT&T, to next business, customer asset, which is now listed as First Source, part of the
Yes,
Sanjeev Goenka group,
yeah.
and then Marketix, which we sold to WNS, and then Tutor Vista and EduRite in the EdTech space, which we sold to Pearson. These were 4 serial entrepreneur ventures where I was the founder and CEO or co-founder and CEO, ran the business, operational business. So when we exited that in 2011 and worked till 2013, I had turned 50 years old and done 4 serial ventures. I said, what is the next thing for me from 50s to 60s? In my age, in that decade, I do this decade-old planning. I didn't want to do a 5th venture as founder and CEO because it has got boring and you've been there. So that is when we came up with the idea of a Growth Story. The closest to that is a venture studio model. See, a venture capital typically is an investor. Venture capital business model is they raise money from other investors who are called limited
LPs.
partners or LPs, and then they invest in multiple companies. In a pool of companies, they have a 7-year typical horizon or fund life. Then when the companies exit and they return the money to their LPs and they charge a management fee which is typically 2% per annum, and they charge a certain carry or a percentage of the profits that their investors make. So that's a typical 220 model and a 7-year to 9-year horizon model. They are investors, pooled capital being this.
Yes.
That's a typical venture capital model. You also have in the same context private equity model, which slightly write larger checks. They invest in a later stage companies, have a shorter time horizon, but there also they raise money from their investors or limited partners. They do that. So venture capital, private equity is a typical risk capital. Venture capital is high risk, high return. Private equity is lower risk, shorter time horizon, and medium return. That's what it is. The other thing that we have in the startup is the typical accelerator and incubator model. Okay, right? Wherein what you do is you invite. You are a company which is able to give some space, some mentorship, some access to your networks, help the founder who has got a paper plan and an idea, refine the plan, build a plan, and you do Y Combinator to Antler to other accelerators and incubators. All of them follow that model where they invite applications. So if you are a entrepreneur who has got an idea on paper, you can join an accelerator. You will get all the support ecosystem. Some of them charge some small equity. Some of them don't even charge that equity. Sure. And you do that stuff. We said, I don't want to be an investor or accelerator. We said, we will start the Growth Story model. Growth Story, the model is we look at where the next 10 to 15 years opportunities are. We write a small business plan, back of the envelope. Okay, right? And if it passes muster, we go and get co-founders from our networks and contacts to come and run the company as co-founders, and we act as promoters. And what our role is strategy, raising money, online marketing, a bit of technology, and any help handholding that they require. So along with the founders, we go and actually raise venture capital pretty early into the stage, and then it scales. Okay, right? So that's the model. The closest to that internationally is Rocket Internet from Germany, which has got Sambar Brothers that they do it. Now it is becoming slightly more popular, but it's still not universally accepted because it's not a venture capitalist, it's not a private equity firm, it is not an investor firm, it is not an accelerator incubator. That's what we do. BigBasket was the first one that we started. Next one was BlueStone. Then we had Portea Medical, HomeLane, Fresh Menu, HungerBox, Verloop. And there are also a lot of other such initiatives which we started, which I'm not mentioning it here
Yeah.
because it shut down. Okay,
Yeah.
right? Because and many times it happens that we start it, we get the founders, we try to
Yeah.
scale it, does not work out, we shut it
Yeah.
down and write off the money.
And I was listening to you in some of your podcasts that you were saying if you try more, you will be successful more because the number of experiments you run is higher.
Yeah, so our model is purely based on the fact that we don't go by what is the percentage of success. We go by how much absolute success that you have. It's like a football game.
Yes.
Okay, right? It doesn't matter what percentage of shots at the goal that you converted. Ultimately, what matters is how many goals you scored.
Yeah.
Okay.